The Joe Rogan Experience recently hosted a heated discussion between Douglas Murray, a British author and journalist, and Dave Smith, a comedian and libertarian commentator. Their conversation tackled some of the most contentious issues shaping global conflicts today, from the wars in Ukraine and Israel to the broader role of American foreign policy. The exchange was raw, unfiltered, and packed with disagreements, offering a window into the complexities of history, power, and morality. Murray and Smith kicked things off by diving into the question of who gets to speak with authority on global conflicts. Murray expressed frustration with what he sees as a trend of non-experts, like podcasters and commentators, dominating discussions on serious historical and geopolitical issues. He pointed to figures like Darryl Cooper, who he argued pushes controversial takes on World War II without the credentials to back them up. Murray suggested that amplifying these voices risks mainstreaming fringe ideas, particularly when they challenge established narratives about figures like Winston Churchill. Smith pushed back, defending the right of anyone to weigh in, expert or not, as long as they're engaging in good faith. He argued that the so-called expert class hasn't exactly covered itself in glory, citing failures in recent wars and policies. The conversation quickly shifted to the war in Ukraine, where Murray and Smith clashed over the root causes of Russia's invasion. Murray emphasized Vladimir Putin's aggression, framing the conflict as a clear violation of sovereignty. He described being on the front lines with Ukrainian soldiers, underscoring their fight to protect their homes from a foreign invader. Smith, while condemning Putin's actions, argued that NATO's expansion eastward, particularly the prospect of Ukraine's membership, provoked Russia unnecessarily. He cited warnings from American officials like William Burns, who cautioned against crossing Russia's red lines. Murray countered that countries like Georgia and Ukraine sought NATO's protection out of fear of Russian expansionism, not because the West coerced them. Things got even more intense when they turned to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Murray laid the blame for the war squarely at Hamas's feet, pointing to their October 7th attack as the spark that ignited the violence. He described the atrocities in vivid detail, from massacres at music festivals to hostages still held in Gaza. For Murray, Israel's response is about survival, aimed at retrieving hostages and dismantling a terrorist group that's turned Gaza into a war machine. He argued that Hamas's tactics, hiding weapons in civilian homes, firing rockets from mosques, make civilian casualties a tragic but unavoidable reality. Smith didn't let that slide. He challenged the idea that Israel's actions are purely defensive, pointing to the blockade on Gaza since 2007 as a source of immense suffering. He argued that Israel's policies, like propping up Hamas to undermine the Palestinian Authority, have fueled the conflict. Smith painted a grim picture of Gaza's reality: restricted movement, controlled resources, and a young population trapped in despair. While condemning Hamas's terrorism, he insisted that Israel's response has been disproportionate, with civilian deaths far outweighing the toll of October 7th. Murray rejected this, accusing Smith of downplaying Hamas's role and ignoring the agency of Palestinians who elected them. The debate also touched on America's broader role in the Middle East. Smith argued that the U.S. has destabilized the region through interventions in Iraq, Libya, and Syria, citing a plan laid out by General Wesley Clark to topple 7 governments. He saw these actions as driven by a neoconservative agenda, with disastrous consequences like the rise of ISIS. Murray dismissed this as conspiratorial, arguing that America lacks the staying power to shape the region as Smith claims. He pointed to Iran as the real puppet master, colonizing countries like Iraq and Syria, while the U.S. plays a secondary role. Throughout, both men grappled with the moral weight of their positions. Murray acknowledged the horror of civilian deaths, but insisted they're a consequence of Hamas's strategy, not Israel's intent. Smith pressed Murray to confront the human cost, questioning whether degrading Hamas justifies the loss of innocent lives. They didn't shy away from calling out what they saw as hypocrisy or selective empathy, making for a conversation that was as much about principles as it was about facts. This wasn't a tidy debate with clear winners. It was messy, passionate, and deeply human, reflecting the stakes of the issues at hand. Murray and Smith exposed the fault lines in how we understand war, responsibility, and the stories we tell about the past. Their exchange is a reminder of how hard it is to find common ground when history and morality collide.